Okay, looking forward to this weekend. Another home game here. Should be a good a good crowd. I know our students have been good. Our fans have been great. So I got no reason to think that this weekend won't be any different. We got the Gold Rush, so we'll be in all gold and we'll be looking to get better. That's kind of what this is all about. Just take what was good, what was bad from the last week, and try to build on it. We're approaching mid-season, so we got some things that we got to get accomplished if we want to continue to win. So things that, and I know these questions are coming, but we got to line up and we got to practice with as much effort and energy and excitement as we can. I mean, we got to practice that way on Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday, and Thursday and Friday. I thought we did last week, and couldn't have been prouder with the way we approached the game, with the way we, started fast, which that's going to be important again this weekend based on early kick. Did everything that we were supposed to. Couldn't have been prouder of a team up until the beginning of the third quarter, where you just don't feel like our effort and our energy and the excitement for playing the game was there. And if you don't play like that, you're going to get beat. Don't care who you play, where you play, when you play, you're going to get beat. It was pretty much the exact opposite of what happened out here the year before. And we were down 17 in the third quarter and came back and won by double digits. And I remember Cliff saying this, once the momentum's gone, it's tough to get back, and that's what happened to us. We were up, and just thankfully we did enough to be able to hold on to, and was really proud of the way Keith stepped up and made a play, and we won. So there's that. But moving forward, you got to practice and you got to play with effort, energy, excitement against everybody that you play. And if you don't, then you're going to get beat. So there you go. We got stuff to work on. So here's Tuesday, and our opponent is Kansas, and we got to approach this in a very business-like manner. But I am incredibly looking forward to Saturday because it'll be a home game, Big 12 game, and an opportunity for us to work on things that we got to work on. They pose a lot of problems like everybody does. They've got some momentum from early season wins. Coach Beatty's going into fourth year there, I believe, and know his staff well, know him and know his staff well. We know what they're going to do, and we got to play our tail off to get better. Offensively, they're going to play a couple of different quarterbacks, anticipating them playing a couple different quarterbacks. Stanley's the guy at this point, but, Bender's been their guy as well. We got to be ready for the Kendrick guy too. So 7, 8, 9, all three of them could get snaps, could take snaps. We'll be ready for all of them. The running back's a good little player now. The Puka Williams leading the Big 12 in rushing. He's got lightning quick speed, and he starts, he stops. He's a dynamic player, so they move him all over the place. It's rare for true freshmen to have the production that he's had at this point. So really a good player that we're going to have to keep under wraps. And then the Sims kid, the receiver, they got a couple of receivers. The 88, the Booker kid caught a touchdown here recently. Played against us last year, but Sims is the guy, number 11, that's really gave us problems over the last couple of years. He's a really good player. Senior has had a couple of touchdowns against us here. But Meacham's running the ball a little bit more than he has. They got some quarterback run game. They got some different things, different personnel groupings, 10 personnel that get in 11, that get in 30, the old Trey package from when we're at Oklahoma State, and do a bunch of different things. Doing a great job of protecting the football. I don't know if I've ever seen a team that's played three quarterbacks that hasn't thrown a pick. So he's coaching them up as far as taking care of the ball. They've only had 2 fumbles on the year, so they're doing a great job of protecting the football. Defensively, Clint Bowen is been there for a long time. You guys have heard me talk about him over the years. He's been there forever, literally forever. Kansas means a lot to him. Played there and has been there for a long time. So it gets guys playing hard, and they got some guys that have made a bunch of plays for him in the past. So the linebacker 29, the Denon guy, makes a ton of tackles, is an all-conference player. This Daniel Wise, this D tackle, it seems like he's been there as long as I've been here. He's a thick kid in the inside. They play a 3-down front. Kind of changed up their schemes just a little bit, but it's more of a 3-down front with a lot of different D linemen, much like what we do with our 3, and have a lot of different rotation going on. But they're a lot like Texas Tech was, where they got that buck on the outside 15. This Kyron Johnson's a good player, 6'1", 225. More of a D end than more of a D end outside linebacker guy than an inside linebacker guy. And then their secondary, they're highly touted guys. I mean, they're, the couple of Louisiana kids, the Mike Lee's been there a couple of years, really a downhill player. Number 1, the other safety, another all-conference type player. And then a couple of corners who don't have a ton of experience, but are long and have talent. So he's got those guys playing well. And we're going to have to ID what they're doing. Have to be patient. They're playing more off than they have in the past. They're playing more safeties, more, stuff that we do, drop 8 stuff. Looks like their philosophy's changed a little bit on that. So we're going to have to be patient and take what they're giving us, which is going to be another big week for Will to kind of assess things and get us into really good plays, whether it's run, whether it's pass. Special teams, they're solid. Their kicker's got a strong leg. He's made a 54-yarder. So got a different kickoff guy than the kicker. They changed coordinators. Kenny Perry's their guy now, but they're doing a lot of the same stuff they did when Defoe was there for a couple of years. But Kenny's known Kenny for a long time, high school coach in Texas. He's taking over these units. The return game is things that we got to keep our eye on. We got to do a better job of covering kicks consistently. We got to do a better job of placing our punts consistently, and we can get better in all the different areas of special teams. So it'll be a big week when it comes for that as well. Coach Hunter, you're up.
As you said, you're almost to midseason. Your observations of your team compared to where maybe your preseason perceptions were, good, bad, somewhere in the middle?
Oh, that's a vague question. You're better than that. I don't know. I mean, we're still, because we've missed the one game. I feel like we still got things that we got to learn with this team. I mean, we're one game away from the halfway point, but it doesn't feel like it. We've played a third of our games. So I'm going to use that with our guys as far as this week is big from we got to get out there and improve on things before it's too late to improve on things type thing, which should motivate them here for this week, and I think it will. I think we're all anxious to get out there and get the bad taste out of our mouth from the second half last week. So I think we'll get out there and play good and improve, but there's a lot of unknowns at this point. We're playing more people than we ever have. I think we played 56 guys last week. That's a high number. Heck, that's more than I traveled to Cincinnati my first year. So we're playing a lot of guys, and because we're playing a lot of guys, there's a lot of opportunities for guys to improve. So I don't care if it's run game, if it's pass game, if it's offense, if it's defense, if it's, any of the special teams areas that need to improve. We got to do a better job with penalties. There's just a whole bunch of things that we got to do to improve on, and I can't wait for Saturday to be able to do that. Somebody's phone's ringing over here, too. Yep.
How much do you use last week's game I know you use it as a teaching but to motivate that this is what can happen when you don't play well.
Yeah, it's been addressed. I mean, it's already been addressed. I'm not going to keep harping on it. I don't think it's a reoccurring problem. I mean, it didn't happen in the other 3 games. So I don't think it's a reoccurring problem. I think they know it. I mean, we came in here on Sunday and we watched the video. All you got to do is watch the video. First half, it looks really good. Second half, it looks like crap, so they know, and we got to go out and we got to do better. And so I expect us to have a good week of practice, just like we did last week, and then go into the game and have the mentality that we better play good, we better play hard, we better be excited about it if we want to beat Kansas, period.
8 different players have interceptions for them. What kind of gauge do you get on that when there's no one single person, but...
How many of those come from Rutgers?
Sorry?
How many of those came from Rutgers? I'm just curious.
Well,
I know they're...
The Rutgers factor.
Yeah. They've played 5 games. They play a lot of people in the secondary, so they've defended a lot more passes than we have. What's our interceptions at? We had 3 last week. I was proud of that. So 2 different people. Who else has got interceptions? Maybe nobody? Draymond got 1. There's 3. Got 4. So. They're doing a good job with their pass defense. Again, like I said, it's different than what Coach Bowen has done against us in the past. They're dropping more people, and so when those games they won, it forced Rutgers and Central Michigan to be in a lot of passing situations to where they were throwing a lot of balls into drop 8, which we know from going against Gibby that's hard to do.
The guy that got 291 against you last year had 3 carries, I think, against Oklahoma State. Does that get your attention, what they have?
Oh, yeah. That whole game last year got our attention,
The number of running backs that they have.
Correct. And the young one is really good, so, we got to do a better job against the run against these guys. We relaxed a little bit in the 3rd quarter against Kansas last year and had to hang on, and then we played a really good 4th quarter and put them away. But, yeah, that definitely has our attention from a defensive perspective, but from a team perspective, it goes along the same lines of what I can use from last week. I don't, care who you play, where you play, when you play. It's about how you play. And if you don't play your best with great effort and great energy and have a great week of practice, then you are setting yourself up to get beat.
How limited was Giovanni Haskins last week?
He was limited from a practice perspective last week. He didn't get cleared until, I think, Thursday, so that makes it hard to develop things for him to do. We're hoping he's good now, and he played a little bit. Didn't play a lot, played a little bit, just because of the practice aspect of it throughout the course of the week. Wesco had a really good week and is 100% healthy and played a lot and played well. We'll have both of them 100%, which allows us to be able to practice things differently Tuesday and Wednesday.
Yeah, Wesco didn't look too fatigued on that 3rd quarter catch, or 4th quarter catch.
We're good. I thought he blocked and played. It's the same. We can talk about everybody, and it's going to be the same thing. I thought he played really well in the first half and blocked well, and I think he blocked average in the second half, but made that play. Which makes us want to do more things with him, most certainly.
Any idea if you get Sankville back yet?
Not yet. See how he does today.
Joe Brown, same.
See how he does today.
When you looked back at the film at the interior line play, just what has to be fixed there from what happened in the
They
second
got to
half?
play like they did in the first half. They blocked people in the first half. Tech tries to take the run away, and we had over 100 yards and averaged 5. I believe it was 5.5 in the first half. And then we just decided we didn't want to block anybody in the second half. And, so we couldn't run the ball at all, and gave up sacks and pressures, and all you got to do is watch the video, and we blocked people in the first half, and we did not block people in the second half. We are not nearly good enough to be able to line up and just go through the motions and block anybody.
You talked
Yeah.
after the game about how Marcus Sims showed flashes in the past, especially in the spring, but then he really flipped that switch during fall camp. What changed for him then?
Still maturity more than anything. He was young and pretty immature, and now he's older. I mean, pretty much every young guy that sits in these seats out here is immature. I mean, when you're 18, just coming in from high school, you think you got all the answers and you don't. It's rare to have a guy like Letty Brown who's playing as much as he does, Dante Stills. Those guys are doing a good job. But most of the time, you got to develop and you got to mature. And that Marcus needed that time. He's always been a talented guy, but practice habits changed. And he's practicing well, and Will's got a lot of confidence in him, and that's going to make us harder to defend when you got David Sills on one side and Marcus Sims on the other side. It's going to make it hard to defend us. But you can tell that Will's gaining confidence in him as well, and is starting to go that direction as much as he does the other direction.
Referencing your practice and people being able to participate, how do you prepare with Josh Norwood not available for the first half? Does he get full reps? Do I got to get more? What do you?
We generally split first team, second team anyway. The first team guy may get a few more, throughout the course of the week, but we've been rotating those guys so much anyway. If you look at the corner production in the first 3 games, it was all about 50-50, between Pitts and Norwood and Washington and Bailey. It was about even, with first team, second team. So from it'll mean Norwood won't line up with the first team, but it's all the same stuff anyway, and we'll have to piece it together for a week, which we got enough, or for a half, which we got enough depth to be able to do that, and then we'll get him back in the second half, and he'll probably hit that field pretty quickly, and he'll be ready to roll. He loves to play football, so he will be ready to go play one third quarter, I can assure you.
What was your read on that play?
You can't launch. Is my coaching point to him is you can't launch. I mean, it's questionable whether it was truly head-to-head, but he launched. And it's one of our main coaching points when you're going to strike a guy is you can't launch upward. And he did. He should have turned his eyes and made a play on the ball. I love his physical nature, but you can't launch upwards towards the head. If you do, whether you hit it or not, you're going to get called for it.
I was going to ask you what you talked about. It sounds like you do this with players too, but that rule is kind of broad. And there's so many interpretations too. Like you
It's
don't
tough.
get too inside a guy's head where he backs off and doesn't do anything. Like, what's the instructional part?
It's tough, but we've made so much progress as a sport, just in general. I think we've made a ton of progress, and players for the most part are 100% aware of the ins and outs on it. Where it really gets tricky is the changing of the levels with the guy with the ball carrier. That makes it really hard, but I think we've accomplished what we wanted to in the game. Obviously guys are aware of it, and there's less targeting calls. So it's good. It's overall good for the game. We got to protect guys as much as we can. That was a learning lesson for Josh.
Keith Washington, you mentioned on your show last night, he was unhappy with his role sort of at the start of the season. Just, where was he at and how has it evolved?
Well, he's a good kid. He put his head down and he played hard, so, there's guys that perform on game day better than they practice. There's guys that don't. He's one that performs better on game days than from what we saw in camp. Now, why, I don't know. I mean, he did get hurt in spring, so he didn't play a whole lot in spring. And just didn't make the plays that we thought he should or could or whatever in camp, which that's not unusual. You get into games and you really find out who guys are. And when we got into games, he was on a bunch of special teams, making plays left and right. And now he's a starting corner. So, you know, that's a good lesson for a lot of other guys, and I use this a lot. I use his example a lot, you know, when I talk to the team as far as knowing what your role is and understanding what your role is and accepting what your role is, or doing something to change what your role is. I mean, individual players, they have way more to do with that than we do as coaches. So, you know, I'm really proud of Keith. I mean, he was a great teammate, and you know, he great kid, just put his head down, and played, and it didn't take us long to figure out that that's one of our better players.
You've got 57 wins here, and one more is going to tie you with Art Lewis for the third most. I know you're not a nostalgia guy, but they've been playing football here a long time. They've had a lot of awful good coaches. What's that going to mean to you when you climb up a little bit there?
I said this on the radio show to Tony last night. I mean, if Mike brings that up to me, I throw him out of my office. Now, I couldn't throw Tony off the radio show last night, and I can't throw you out of the media room right now. But we would prefer to talk about the team aspect of everything, and I'm sure, I mean, it's an honor to be here, period. And, you know, I'm sure at some point we'll look back at it and maybe throw a party about it or something like that. But right now, we are 100%, I do not care about that. I care about 5-0 and 3-0 in the Big 12, period.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, thank you.